Hello, hello out there. If you can see me and hear me, just let me know in the comments. I am so excited to do this late lunchtime live today. For the last few weeks, I have been popping on here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But today I had a little scheduling conflict, so I am here just 1 hour later. And if you're catching the tail end of your late lunch, you can hop on and listen for a bit. I am here ready to begin. So just let me know where you are, where you're watching and listening from. And we are going to get right into this final installment of Lunchtime Live, where we have been focused on having this conversation around time and time talks. We began the conversation 3 weeks ago, really talking about how to value time. And I encouraged you to consider starting a relationship with time. I shared with you how, for me, the beginning of my relationship with time really started very young with my, I don't want to say preoccupation, but let's say affinity towards planners and all things that have to do with organizing time, really organizing my events as they get fit into a timeline, right? And then I really encouraged you to consider getting into a rhythm and a flow with time and not to feel as though you are both trying to lead the dance, but that each one of you and time have a different role to play. And time's true purpose is to serve. And when you're purpose minded around all the different elements that come into play in your life, it helps you to have the right framing, the right perspective. And so I encourage you to consider time's purpose in your life and partner with time. And I know that may sound odd and a bit out there for some, but it truly works. And it's a counterculture um, thing that I'm interested in encouraging to participate in, to really be intentional about your relationship with time and, as I talked about 2 weeks ago, rest and how rest and time can work in tandem, and they don't have to be against one another. They're not enemies, right? And so I think last week is when I made the confession to you about my own personal overwhelm experience with time and how I had to put into practice my own strategies and my own really remind myself of the decisions I have made to be intentional about how I view time and my relationship with time, and really respecting the fact that it can't be controlled, right? Because anytime you try to control time, it sort of evokes anxiety and worry, and you start to feel uncomfortable in many different ways, and it doesn't serve you anymore. Then time starts operating outside of its purpose in our lives. And so, one of the things that I mentioned last week that's really, really important is to get a handle on the words that we're using. I know that steeped in our culture are phrases and idioms that are anti time and anti us partnering with time. And so I encourage you in a practice that I've started, which I call expression ejection, where I am kicking out any expression in my language that is counter my intention of partnering with time and really being able to move through life peacefully, which is key for me. And I encourage you as well. But one of the things that we've been talking about in terms of this word piece is to remember that it's not just our language, but it's also the language that we receive from others, and making sure that we keep things in balance. So for this final episode, or installment, I should say, of Time Talks, as it relates to lunchtime lives, because I'm starting something new tomorrow, and I'll share that with you a little later. The final piece that I want to share with you is really tapping into the limitless possibilities of time. I think we have been taught, no, I don't think, I know that we have been taught that time is limited and that it's scarce and that it's just not enough of it. And all of that is not true. There is enough time to do all the things and to become all that you desire to be. It's all about timing. Timing, as it is in the Greek, is called kairos, and it speaks to the quality of the time that we have, and really focusing on that quality over quantity. You ever hear people say, "Oh, I want to spend quality time with you." Oh, let's spend some quality time. Really, that has more to do with the timing. It's not necessarily the activity as much as it is the the moments that we build together in relationship with other people, right? A few weeks ago, I did talk about how time was actually created so that we can, part of the reason, so that we can actually arrive at the same time as we should for an appointment. It really is meant to serve our purposes. And so, in that way, kairos, timing, is meant to serve our purpose of expansion of time. Time has the ability to take on this quality of limitlessness when we are doing the thing that we want to do and being the person that we want to be at the right time. And sometimes it requires a bit of stillness, slowing down, paying attention to those intangibles, those nuanced things that are happening in our life and around us in our world, so that we can make choices that actually align within that realm rather of timing, of kairos. And when we tap into that, we start to feel the like almost as if a machine where all the different locks go into place. Let me just share with you a quick story about that. Like today, part of the conflict that I had, and why I couldn't hop on at 1 o'clock, is because I had an eye doctor's appointment. And as many of you know, I live in the Northeast, and my eye doctor appointment was in Manhattan. And I had to drive into Manhattan to my appointment, and I was concerned about the time. And then I said, you know what? I have enough time to get in and to get back and be able to be with all of you. And as I had that framing of my mind and just joyously went through traffic and joyously just weave through to find a parking garage and then walk to my appointment. When I got there, was able to maintain this sort of frame of mind that I'm doing things in the right time, in the right timing for me, right? It's that time of year for me to get my eyes checked. I love to go to the eye doctor because, as you all know, I love my funky frames. So when I got there, I was walking in, right after me, walking in was a woman, and I turned and looked at her frames and was like, wow, those are beautiful frames. Turns out she was the designer of the frames that I'm wearing. She is here from France, and I felt like, wow, this was the perfect time, the perfect timing for me to enjoy my eye doctor's appointment, which most people would say they don't enjoy doctor's appointments. But it felt like I had been there for hours. And I think maybe I had been there 45 minutes in my appointment. But I had such an experience of time expansion as I enjoyed the timing of me being present in that space and being able to talk design and where she gets her design ideas from. So instead of like rushing into my appointment and being anxious about it and rushing out because I knew I had to get back here in time, I just sort of took a moment to be at peace and enjoy the moment. And it turned out to be a quality moment. So, what am I saying? What am I encouraging you to do? I'm encouraging you to slow down. If you feel like there's some external pressure that is moving you forward, kind of put the brakes on it and say, I just need a minute. And it doesn't even have to be more than a minute. Take the time to do some of those exercises I mentioned a couple of weeks ago with deep breaths and saying, hey, time, let's work together. And then make choices in the activities that you are doing to see them as the right time and bring some level of enjoyment to the experience. You will find time will expand in a way that is intangible, but yet you still feel it. So that's all for now. My special announcement is that beginning tomorrow in the Genius Lab, which the link is right here, I will be hosting in real time a show pretty much about how I design the blueprint for my life around time. And I'll talk a lot about time, but I'll also talk about other things to help you to live the life that you want to live, one that you design based upon frameworks that work for you. So join me in the Genius Lab. I will be there every day, almost every day. And I want to have this conversation expand more because the life we desire to live can be lived, but we need a blueprint. We need a way to go about doing it. And so we're going to talk about and figure out together the how that is just right for you. I am Regina L. Henry, your principal life architect, and it is my passion and privilege to help you to design blueprints for your life that align with what's most important to you. I hope to see you tomorrow in the Genius Lab. Bye now.